I am live. Okay. Is that you, Reginald?
No, we're waiting. Trustees are about to come in shortly.
Okay.
This is going to be a very unusual meeting. The Chancellor is not here. The President, Louise Appleman, is not here. She's under the weather. So we will do what we have to do to move forward. First of all, is there any public comment, Reg? No public comment.
Correction. The Chancellor is here by voice.
Well, I know that.
Okay. Just make sure you knew.
Yeah, Chancellor, can we hear you?
Yes. Yes, sir. Is this Mr. Heath?
It is.
Well, good evening, board members.
Good evening.
And good evening to all of you. And thank you, board, for accommodating my very special request for this evening. we are prepared for budget workshop number 3 in order to give you a little different look tonight about where we are as we start to work towards building, continue, I should say, building budget 2015-16. And as we normally do each year, I ask the KELP members to give you a report on some of the highlights that they have accomplished over the past year. And when I say highlights, that's exactly all you're getting tonight, because if each one of them were to give you all the things they wanted to give you about the great successes of our employees, our faculty, our staff, our support staff, they really have just done phenomenal work. And I think you will agree as you listen to each one of them. They're all prepared, and they have the order in which they're going to present this evening. And so we'll get started with them on their presentation. KELP members, I know you're ready.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, Chancellor. Chancellor Hadley, can you hear me?
Yes, Dr. Jordan.
It's always a pleasure to hear your voice, even when we can't see you. Glad you're with us. Good evening, members of the board. It is my pleasure and honor to talk to you this evening about some highlights from the South Campus. On behalf of the faculty and staff and students of the South Campus, we're pleased with I'm proud of the many accomplishments that we have had this year, and I'll spend time talking to you about some of those. These will be organized according to division, the Academic Affairs Division, Student Development Division, as well as Continuing Education. As you know, across the college, there's a college-wide focus on national certifications as well as accreditations of programs. And we are pleased that this year, our automotive program was recertified by the National Automotive Technicians Education Foundation, and we received initial accreditation from the American Council on Construction Education. So we're thrilled with those achievements. Next, within student development, our Writing Center initiated a peer tutoring program this year that is in addition to the work that the staff members who are tutors in that center does. And that tutoring program, that peer tutoring program, served 84% more students this spring than it did in the fall, for a total of 1,035 students that we served. And there were 5 peer tutors, excuse me, who worked with that effort. As far as student engagement goes, as you know, student engagement is key to student success, and our extracurricular and co-curricular activities continue to draw participation from more and more students. And this is work that is done and heralded by faculty as well as staff. We had an 89% increase in participation, including leadership programming and multicultural programming by students on the South Campus this year over last year. And within continuing education, or I should say community and industry education, we are proud again this year to have served almost 500 individuals in helping them prepare their tax returns. This was a 28% increase over last year in the number of individuals we served, and those returns yielded over $500,000 in returns to those individuals for about almost $1,200 per individual or family. And the Crowley South Campus Center which is moving into its third year of operation, increased dual credit enrollments by 25% this year, thanks to the work also of TCC Connect. And we also increased non-credit enrollments by a total of 45% over last year. So that center continues to grow. Thank you for your attention and for helping us celebrate these accomplishments.
Thank you, Dr. Jordan. Our next presenter then will be Dr. Gobin, Northeast.
Thank you, Chancellor Hadley, Vice Chair Heed, and members of the board. It's my pleasure to share a few highlights from Northeast Campus for this past year. We house the Collegian, our newspaper for the entire district, but it's housed on Northeast Campus, and they were named the Texas Associated Press Managing Editor's Best Non-Daily College Newspaper in Texas for the second year in a row, among a lengthy list of accomplishments and awards this past year. They had a tremendous list of awards. Another highlight for Northeast Campus was that our students placed in the top 4 spots in the district-wide Jim Bolin math competition and placed 11 students in the top 15. Next slide, please. Northeast Campus established our Collegiate Academy Early College High School and had our inaugural year with a freshman class of 110 students. We have about 100 more coming in to join these students in the second year. All full-time Northeast staff within our Student Development Services area were in training with Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People during the fall semester. Next slide, please. We've had unprecedented partnering between our undergraduate or transfer curriculum area and our community and industry education area. And we're really excited about this. Great partnerships are developing to build pathways and stackable credentials. In particular, we started a real estate program with a class, Principles of Real Estate 1, that we're offering in the community and industry ed, and we're expanding to offer all 6 classes. As well, our Haltom City Center, which is growing and expanding, is doing a great job, is now offering a retail florist program. So we started a new program. Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Mrs. Hadley and board members. It is a pleasure to give you an update on the Northwest Campus. Like the other campuses, we have quite a bit going on, and I want to point out that some of these were duplicates for the different campuses, and we agreed to share once, okay? We are still celebrating the TCC Northwest Center of Excellence in Aviation, Transportation, and Logistics, which opened August of 2014. During the 2014-2015 academic year, we offered 185 sections, 2,939 students. Those could be duplicate enrollments, as what we think when we pulled them up on the reports. But we're filling the classrooms, and that's the important message that I want to send. Both the Fire Academy and Police Academy have 100% retention rate and 100% first-time state exam pass rate as examples of our student learning outcomes. The College Credit for Heroes is an example of new programs that we have that will speed up the time in which a student will complete a certificate or a degree, and this is specifically for veterans, but we're testing the waters to expand beyond that. So we successfully implemented the College Credit for Heroes in Fire Technology, where we had students completing a 2-year program in 9 months, and we are moving into criminal justice and logistics programs as well. We were selected, the Northwest Campus was selected as the only Texas site to host the University Counseling Center Core Competency Program for counselors and others working with veterans. We have quite a few veterans on our campus. Northwest Campus student Ismael Castañeda received the Jack Kent Cook Foundation Undergraduate Transfer Scholarship. I think you got to meet him at one of the board meetings. Our Marine Creek Collegiate High School continues to grow. This new academic year, we will have approximately 400 students. But this past year, we graduated a significant number of students with high school diplomas and associate degrees. And on top of that, they got some very prestigious scholarships, such as Tatiana Madrigal, who received the Gates Millennium Scholarship, and Omar Marquez, who received the Horatio Alger Scholarship, both of which are very prestigious. We work very hard on our partnerships with the independent school districts in support of TCC Connect and in support of the Chancellor's goals. Examples are the Fire Academy with Arlington ISD, the City of Arlington and Northwest Campus, the Text Prep program, which focuses on science and math. This is a partnership with Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD. The Aviation, Computer Science, and Logistics programs with Northwest ISD, and aviation programs with Fort Worth ISD, and we're working on the Fire Academy with Fort Worth ISD as well. Community partnerships, examples of those, we offer ESL, ESOL, GED courses in community centers and churches, mostly throughout Fort Worth, but also in the Eagle Mountain, Saginaw area. We also offer credit and non-credit courses at the Recreation Center, City of Saginaw. People can walk to it and not worry about transportation. We were invited to host a radio program for veterans on KVCE 1160 AM. If you're ever interested, we're on at 6 p.m. And then we have multiple community service giving projects throughout Tarrant County that our employees and our students are involved in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Blanc. Dr. Coppola?
I'm here. Hello, members of the board, Ms. Hadley. It's always a pleasure to come up and address you. I'm finishing my third year here, Dr. Jordan, and I think the third year was a charm because we had just an exciting year. I have to start out with our early college high school. We started with 121 students, and to finish with 118 students after the first year, with the students receiving 10 college credits, is unprecedented to have that much of a success rate after the year. And a lot of that goes to a number of people on the Southeast campus that helped. We had 4 of the supplemental instructors that you all approved working in the early college high school with the students to have a peer-to-peer tutoring. And we also had after-hour tutoring services and a librarian stationed in the early college high school to help the students with research, really to create that college-going culture for the students. And I'm very excited about that. And all of these students, they were the first ones in their class, in their family to receive any type of college credit at all. The Youth Education Town, Yet Center got kicked off in January. We served 208 students in the Yet Center. It's been a very rewarding partnership. ESL, GED, a digital summer camp, and office occupations are the programs that we're offering up through the end of this summer, and we're going into another year of that partnership. Our Student Success Center had 42,255 visits in the last year. This has been one of the best things that my staff has come up with, and also supported by you and supported by the district office. The 3 success coaches, and now we have 4 that are there, had 4,578 individual appointments. The students are getting to know where that success center is. And this is really creating a partnership between the students and the college. And the students really feel like they matter to the college because there are people not physically touching them, but they're virtually touching them. We can't do the physical. Our Phi Theta Kappa International Regional Awards, this has been a great year. I'm very excited that at Tarrant County College, all of our Phi Theta Kappa chapters have really excelled and have really been grown. This Distinguished Honors in Action project was won nationally. The top award was by Southeast Campus. It was an oral history of our immigrant students. And at the National Award in San Antonio, we were awarded, and our whole chapter got to go on stage. And there is a direct correlation, as you know, between participation in Phi Theta Kappa and student completion. Students that are part of Phi Theta Kappa have a 93% chance of graduating on time compared to 36% of students that are not. So we have a lot of move coming up in completion of trying to get more students into Phi Theta Kappa. I'm really proud. This is one of those stellar years. Hopefully it happens every year, but it's been a great year for our student awards. 4 of the National Terry Foundation transfer scholarships came from the Southeast campus. One's going to get in a full ride at TCU. 2 of the 20, as you have met these students, National All-USA Academic Team Scholars came from the Southeast, the only 2 in the state of Texas. 1 in 15 of the Gus White Scholars, Pelkins Ajano, came from the Southeast campus. There were 15 in the nation. He also just received the Jim Spagnola Presidential Scholarship Award and will be attending UTA on a full ride in their engineering program. We had a Jack Kent Cook Foundation transfer, and along with, that's Dr. LeBlanc said, with Northwest Campus, to have 2 from the same district is just outstanding and really shows how much we support our students. And out of the 50 scholars, 1 from each state, the 1 came from the Southeast campus. I'm very proud of them. Next, please. We were one of 50 sites selected to host a Smithsonian exhibit, Change in America, the Emancipation Proclamation, 1863, and the March on Washington in 1963. In the 6 weeks that this ran, there were 5,400 people who viewed this exhibit, and over 1,400 attended programs associated with it. We have a great staff now at Southeast that are working on this, along with Jackie Mackey, who you can't do anything without Jackie helping us bring this in at NEH. We now have Dust, Drought, and Dreams, a traveling exhibit about the Dust Bowl in the Great Plains, just offering up on our campus. And what this has really done has brought a lot of community members onto campuses. All of the middle schools and elementaries have bring their classes onto campus, and it's really showing us, letting people know who we are and what we offer. OERs, you're going to be here a little bit more later about the textbook project. But I really want to give credit to our academic curriculum teams who have really taken tackling the rise, of course, of textbooks with students. And they went out and looked at OERs, and just in my campus for 1 semester saved students $119,000. And they have put together a task force, and on a district-wide system is looking to try to expand to OERs. So as you can see, this has been just a wonderful year at the Southeast campus, and it has been a rewarding and learning experience for me to be a colleague of the faculty and staff who have really come together to support our students and our community. After all, the success of being a president is to continue to be a student. So once again, I want to thank you for your support and look forward to the next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Coppola. Dr. Fulkerson?
Thank you, Chancellor and board members. I want to join my colleagues in letting you know how much we appreciate your support. The programs that are so successful for our students are due to your understanding that money makes a difference. And so I thank you for that. I'm also appreciative of the fact that you and our Chancellor organize our work into such good goals that help us focus. And I wanted to present some of our achievements based on the Chancellor's goals. One of her goals was to improve employee experience through engagement, training, and development. We've encouraged our faculty and our staff to go to conferences, to start to college, to complete college, take new degrees, and without the funding of TCC to pay for some of those staff courses, that would not be possible. Tyson McMillan, who you know, he's back there in the back smiling, is our Faculty Association President at Trinity and a supervisor, and in 2014 he won a state award as a trio achiever. John Heiser, who is our coordinator for respiratory care, has won a Lifetime Achievement Award. He is internationally known in the field of respiratory care, and he brings students from the Orient to Texas, particularly to our campuses, every summer so that they can study with our students. Allison Silvius is an instructor of biology, and she was one of 55 nationwide invited to attend a biology leadership conference. Adrian Rodriguez, one of our vice presidents, was named by the Fort Worth Business Press as 40 under 40. I tease him that he barely made it because he had a birthday right after he was named, but he's there if you see his name. Robert Munoz, one of our vice presidents, was named Champion of the Year with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and he won a Hall of Fame award with the Men of Color movement. Our employees, as I said, are successfully pursuing educational goals. 3 of our employees who work in student development services have completed doctorates within the last year. 2 of our academic faculty are ready to defend their doctorates. We have 4 master's completions this year, and our staff, as I said, are taking courses. One thing that's important for us to remember is that our students don't always see themselves as able to follow a doctoral course or a master's course. So people like Tyson and Sophia Garcia and all of our employees who are TCC alums wear TCC alum on their name badges. And so when a student sees that, walks into an office and sees a secretary with a name tag, and hanging from that is TCC alum, it says a lot about our schools being learning places. The Chancellor's Gold on retention initiatives. We were blessed by the Sid Richardson Foundation, who provided us an anatomage table. It's a digital cadaver, and I want you to come see it. You won't believe what it does in helping students see and understand what makes our bodies work. It was designed to give our students mastery in biology, but particularly our students in the early college high school. In collaboration with diversity and inclusion, Trinity River campus was successful in piloting a safe space project, and that will be now extended to all the campuses. We have a successful financial coaching partnership with the Y, and we've served 144 students who've come in voluntarily saying, I can't stay in school, I can't manage my budget, and they have been turned around. This year, 4 homeless students, one girl living in her car this summer, were found homes by the YWCA, and it was because of our partnership. They are on our campus every week helping our students. And then the successful Stay the Course program that we have in collaboration with Fort Worth Catholic Charities and the University of Notre Dame has been so extraordinarily good that they are extending that program to the Northwest campus this coming year. Finally, the Chancellor's Goal related to student success has touched all of our units. Since January, 85 students have completed community and industry marketable skills certificates in our medical programs. Jimmy Alphonse, who's the president of the Trinity River Campus International Students Association, was chosen for a national internship, a program in Washington, D.C. designed to train leaders. Rachel Wanzer, who was the valedictorian of the first class of our early college high school, accepted one of the full scholarships that she was offered. She is now at Johns Hopkins University. And we have an increasing number of students receiving full and partial scholarships. So what you are doing for us on all campuses is making life for our students much better. And we thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Dr. Fulkerson. And now finally, board members, the last campus, Dr. Carlos Morales, TCC Connect.
Good evening, Chancellor Hadley, board members. I'm happy to report that for TCC Connect, during this past year, we created an operational memorandum for dual credit with sister campuses. We also redesigned the e-learning faculty certification. Also in collaboration with District Human Resources Office and also Academic Affairs, we implemented a process to use embedded high school teachers. Also in a collaboration with district offices, the Office of Institutional Intelligence and Technology, as well as Academic Support Services, we completed the necessary programming process for TCC Connect to report as a campus to the coordinating board. Also this past year, we created 15 fully online programs, 5 associates and 13 certificates in the areas of business and office technology. We also increased dual credit enrollment by 10% to 8,600 students, and also added 3 new private schools to dual credit service areas that will start in the fall of 2015. During this year, we also implemented professional development sessions in conjunction with all independent school districts to keep them abreast of policy and growth. Next slide, please. We also redesigned 5 high-demand online courses using a peer development approach, and those are COSC 1301, Dance 2303, History 1302, KINE 1164, and Philosophy 2303. Finally, during the academic year 14-15, 274 students were enrolled in weekend college. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Morales. Mr. Gates, you're up next.
Matt, I'd like to ask one question. What is an embedded high school teacher?
Yes, thank you for the question. An embedded school teacher is a teacher that meets the criteria set by SACS. In other words, that person has a master's degree and an 18 hours to deliver dual credit courses.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Greenhill, they're called embedded because they're already there.
Okay.
And one of the ways that we can grow dual credit courses even faster is when the schools are interested in offering their full-time faculty members as our adjunct faculty members to teach those courses to their students, but they must meet the very same requirements as our regular full-time faculty members or any other adjunct would meet. And they are called embedded because they're already there in the schools. And some of the school districts are especially interested in that approach because it does give them significantly more flexibility and increasing the numbers of students who are enrolled in dual credit courses.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Gates?
Yes, thank you, Chancellor and trustees. Some of the things that we've been able to accomplish as a result of your approval of last year's budget in our web communications area, we released the 50th anniversary site, interactive campus maps, a new online calendar system, and a student achievement site. In addition, we restructured and launched the entire community and industry education web presence. So we've had a pretty impactful year in the web area, and we're going to forward this PowerPoint to you electronically, and those will be live links that you can go out and actually take a look at some of those. In addition, in this same area, we completed card sorting activities and persona creation for our website redesign. That's when we kind of did some profiling to look at our customers that use the website. In the Information Center, we partnered with our IT department to redistribute the first-tier technical support program to Lucian. It's called Tech 24/7 that Tim will talk about as well. Also in that department, we relocated from the Opportunity Center to the Trinity River campus. That allowed us to expand our space and allowed us to also use the space differently at the Opportunity Center. I think you all have heard us discuss the call center project that we did with Chase Bank, where we're doing that with others through our CIE department. So that space is being utilized in that way. Next slide, Shelley. In our government relations, we had a successful 84th legislature, successful as in we got through it, not successful as in we got everything we wanted. But in addition to this year, we launched what was called a Monday Message that we would distribute campus-wide through All Outlook, which was a suggestion of Tim's to do. And we've gotten great feedback about folks getting those and feeling like they were informed about what went on at the session. Strategic initiatives, we graduated our 4th class of the Chancellor's Emerging Leaders Program. And for those of you who were not there, this same office successfully planned and executed our 50th anniversary celebration on this past Saturday. That was done through that office as well. In our grants development and compliance area, we provided oversight for some 79 different public and private grant-funded projects representing in excess of $16 million. In addition, we've been excited about that department providing some training, provided 9 sessions of grants management and compliance training for some 73 TCC employees, also provided 17 sessions of grant proposal development training for some 200 TCC employees. In our creative services area, one of the things that we continue to work to do, not only through process improvement, but just to look for efficiencies in all of our shops, one of the things that we do in our creative services, we utilize a district-wide online tracking database to process over some 5,000 unique job requests through to completion. This included a new student orientation piece, the TCC annual report, My Success booklet, which we've piloted on a couple of the campuses, as well as things used by our community access and community outreach department. They use what is called a view book, which walks a prospective student through what they need to do to become a student here at TCC. And under PR and marketing, go back one second, Shelley. Under PR marketing, this was between September 14 and May of this year. Our advertising and marketing efforts, excluding social media, generated some 4.2 billion total impressions, and 1.1 billion of those were unique to only TCC, and that represents less than a 2 cents cost per impression, which was quite impressionable in what we've been able to do with that. In addition to that, our media coverage had more than 1,200 hits through print, broadcast, and digital outlets through May of this year, which represents $10.1 million in comparable advertising value. So we were able to stretch that budget pretty significantly. And it's like most of the departments, we've received numerous awards for things that we've done over the year in the PR marketing area. So your funding support is much appreciated. Thanks.
Reg, would you?
Yes.
What is an impression, if you define that?
A visual. So like I could count the car traffic passing a billboard. So that's an impression. You know, where you can just see like our billboards as you're driving. So you'll take the traffic count and you would count all those as potential impressions.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam Chancellor, this is Bill Greenhill. As we discussed, yes, sir. As we discussed, this is not immediate, of course, but some of us were involved in the political process in the lobbying process with the legislature this year. And then I went to a meeting of the joint meeting of TAACC and CATT, and I found out that our spending for lobbying is ridiculously low and very unimpressive. And at some point, we're going to have to figure out how to, I think, jointly as trustees, and maybe have to increase our own budget, depending on how that works out, and how to expand our lobbying efforts through contributions or something to heighten our vision with the state legislature, I think.
Mr. Greenhill, you make an excellent point. And of course, that's an item that has been discussed quite a bit at the state level through our Texas Association of Community Colleges group. And there's quite a bit of debate, if you will, about how best to do that. Yeah. There are some of the colleges, the leadership and the board, who feel that I think the money should be spent locally, it should be raised locally and given away locally and spent locally, and others who feel that you must have a cooperative effort where all the institutions will chip in, and everybody agrees that what we collect is really not anything close to enough. So that's something that will certainly be on our agenda, and I would encourage you as one of our state leaders in the Trustee Association to make sure it's on your agenda.
Yeah,
perhaps the two of us can get together and
we're going to work on
handle that.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you for that observation. Dr. Joy Gates Black is up next, and her time will be significantly longer than anybody else's because there's so much to be reported on the academic affairs side and so much to be reported on the student success side. But she'll make it go as fast as she can. Dr. Gates Black, you're up.
Thank you, Chancellor Hadley and members of the board. I absolutely will promise to move as quickly as I can. The District Academic Affairs and Student Success Office has continued to work very closely with our campuses to find ways to continue to increase student success, retention, and completion. Earlier this spring, we coordinated a meeting with roughly 170 faculty, staff, and administrators to have a focused discussion on how we can improve student outcomes. Shortly after that meeting, we held a brainstorming session with our Achieving the Dream coaches. And coming out of that meeting were 3 wildly important goals, or what we call WIGs. And these are focused on increasing retention and success of first-time in college degree-seeking students and increasing the success of students who are on academic probation as well by 20% by 2016. So you'll hear more about that in the coming year. But we are definitely on our way working on our WIGs. Spring of 2015 marked the beginning of our fully implemented supplemental instruction program, and I came before the board to tell you about our initial results. I do want to remind the board members that this was that big idea that you asked us about last year at the budgeting cycle, where you asked what was that one thing that we could do that we believe would have a significant impact, and you were able to reallocate sticky space money to support this, so we are very grateful for that. We targeted 112 sections of SI with 3,223 enrollments in 37 courses. 75 of the SI participants were successful in SI supported courses compared to 59% of non-SI participants. So we're really pleased with this initial information, and we believe the program is going to continue to grow and impact our student success agenda. The Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board requires that all of our degree programs, with the exception of a few for health programs, be no more than 60 hours. So our faculty have worked very hard this year to reduce the number of hours in all of our degree programs so that we could comply with that requirement. We also developed 5 new career and technical certificates in the areas of flight instruction, retail management, dietary management, digital media production, and sound recording technology. This brings the total number of career and technical degree certificate programs to 136. Our community and industry program provided online training to 6 local small businesses that received funding from the Texas Workforce Commission under the Skills for Small Business grant. There were 65 employees participating in the program, and these employees enrolled in 85 courses. As you are aware, students often leave community colleges with well over 90 hours when the degree requirements are for a 60-hour degree. So as a college, we are working to identify pathways that provide clear direction to students so that they don't accumulate hours that they don't need to take. Our financial aid office has also implemented an enhanced course and degree audit requirement that requires students, financial aid students, only be paid for or receive funding for those courses that are a part of their degree plan. In fall of 2014, we centralized our veterans certification process. This allows us to better provide consistent and timely review and consistent information to veterans and have them call into one central location. We continue to see great success with our Men of Color mentoring program. In fall of 2014, 130 participants enrolled in 493 courses or enrollments. Of that 493 enrollments, 340 received grades of A, B, or C. That's 69%. From fall of 2014 to spring of 2015, the retention rate for the Men of Color program was 81.5%, when the college's rate is 69%. In spring of 2015, we had 136 participants enroll in 497 courses. And of those 497 enrollments, 391, or 79%, received grades of A, B, or C. We also, for the Men of Color program, just so you know, we had 21 students either graduate or transfer this year. 11 of them transferred and 21 graduated. Of those that graduated, 4 went into the military, and the remaining 17 have already been accepted to four-year institutions. The last thing I want to bring to your attention is our academic advising. I'll bring your attention, you see there the cohorts for 2012 fall and 2013 fall. You'll also see the number of visits. This is based on the number of advising visits. Those students you'll see in fall of 2012, those students who did not meet with their advisor were retained at 40%. Those students who met with their advisor one time were retained 48%. And those students who saw their advisor 2 or more visits were retained 62% of the time. For fall of 2013 to fall of 14, those students who did not see their advisor were retained 42% of the time. Those who saw their advisor one time were retained 45% of the time. And those students who saw their advisor 2 or more visits were retained 57% of the time. So we know that advising is having an impact on student success. And we believe that this is going to continue now that we have implemented advising by appointment. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gates-Black. Board members, that was a lot of information. Do you have any specific questions before we let her go?
Yeah, this is Bill Greenhill again. I've heard from two or three, not a lot, but some constituents have said that it's very difficult to get appointments. Is there a list? Is it really hard now to get an appointment, or is there a pretty good rollover? And
It is working well now. I will say in the beginning, it was new software, the advisors, it was a new system, but this is working out very well. And the feedback we've got from students is they appreciate it because they're able to come in and have an appointment and know what time they're going to be seen. Right now, we're in the throes of the last 2 weeks before the semester starts, so we're not in appointments at this point because of the busy time of the year. But yes, students are able to see an advisor. They're able to see a full-time advisor or a part-time advisor, but they're able to see an advisor. Oh, and let me remember, we also have...
this is a trick question, do we need more advisors?
Well, funny you should say that.
That really is a trick question.
I know, but this is something I'm very interested in.
Well, it is something that is going to come before you. We do recall early on in the budgeting process, the chancellor asked each of the board members, what was it that you were wanting us to focus on? And you did mention advising at that. So one of the things that we hope to put forward in the budgeting process is some increased advising.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Board members, any other questions of Dr. Gates-Black before I go to the next report? If not, I'll move to Mrs. Marshall.
Mrs. Ayala has a question.
I do.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very
Question?
much. Yes, I do. Going to the Men of Color mentoring, and you were giving some statistics about the grades and
Yes.
the percentages. How are we measuring, or are we getting feedback from them on how we can help improve those numbers? So if somebody's getting a B or a C, how we can help them?
Yes, well, they're doing well in terms of their academics, but how can we improve the program? How can we improve their engagement?
Right.
A number of things. First of all, we just moved our 2 coordinators. We only have 2, and that in itself is kind of problematic because as we've grown. But we have 2 coordinators that were located at the district office. We've recently reassigned them to the campuses so that they will be there where the students are.
Okay.
Yeah. Another thing is we're reaching capacity on the number of advisors. We're reaching capacity. So we're going to need to find innovative ways to identify additional advisors to support the Men of Color program.
Okay. And then I do have one other question. Let's see. Oh, how do
Did I hear another question?
Yes, I do. How do we determine the
Okay.
certificates, the new programs and certifications that we're going to offer?
This goes through our our curriculum area. It goes through curriculum and instruction. It also goes through academic affairs. We bring those programs to the campus presidents where we look at vetting them, and then they talk about where there is an interest, which campus there is an interest, and then we take it through the Innovation Forum. And that's where they vet to see where the need is, what kind of jobs they can get, what kind of salaries and that kind of information that it goes through. So it's gone through a full vetting process.
Okay. And do we have some do we have just a list that we look at on a regular basis?
We do.
Okay.
We have about 25 that are being vetted right now for the coming year.
Perfect.
Going through the Innovation Forum.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And it comes from a lot of different places. It comes from the demand occupation list and a number of other sources.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Heed, you have a question?
One of the biggest suppliers of that information for us comes from, believe it or not, the North Central Texas Council of Governments, Mrs. Ayala, as well as from the North Texas Commission. And of course, the Texas Workforce Commission gives us excellent data,
Yes.
along with our local Tarrant County Workforce Solution. So we have a number of places from which to draw the data on trends,
Okay, thank you.
job trends.
Thank you.
Mr. Heed, you have a question?
Yeah, the data you have here is 2012, 2013.
On which area?
I'm sorry, student success and student advising, the last slide. Given the success of the advising, why did it tend to go down from the first year to the second year? Is this a matter of educating the students or marketing, or is it a question of the number of advisors, or?
Well, actually, I think it's increased from fall of 2012 to fall of 13. That's that first column. We had 845 students who did not meet with an advisor. In fall of 2013 to fall of 2014, we had 668. So that number has gone down. And also, if you look at fall of 2012, the number of students who saw their advisor for 2 or more visits was 1,047. And in 2013, the number who saw their advisor for 2 or more visits was 1,243.
Right. But the cohort size went down.
The cohort size went down for a number of reasons. This is all first-time in college students. So
Okay.
when the economy is better, fewer students may come in.
Okay,
Yeah.
It'd be good to see that double.
I'm sorry?
It'd be good to see that number double.
It would be
get
very good to
advisors.
see that number double.
Thank you.
Absolutely, it would.
Thank you.
Okay, if no other questions, then we'll move to the next report. Mr. Timothy Marshall is up next with Institutional Intelligence and Research.
Good evening, Chancellor and board members. Again, like everybody else, I want to thank you for the opportunity to present our successful projects and our operational strengths for the year. I'm going to highlight 1 to 2 items per department that fall under my oversight, and I'm going to mention those that have the widest impact across the district. The first one is our Institutional Effectiveness and Compliance Office. This office facilitated the preparation and submission of the TCC Connect Campus accreditation, not only with the local coordinating board, but also with our national accreditation agency. And also within TCC Connect, they're also in charge of the remote locations where we instruct. And this year we had to prepare 20 additional prospecti for the coordinating board, because now we are teaching 50% or more of an academic program at those locations. So that speaks to the success and the demand for access to a non-traditional teaching environment. With institutional intelligence and research, as I've watched my cohorts present, I smile and I actually add a little bit to this sentence. We've actually gone from an internal department to one that's experienced a lot of outreach, where the campus and the executives are becoming much more accustomed to the access and information that we're providing. So there's a lot of percentage points up there. There's a lot of charts up there. And every time I see one, I know where it came from. I know the initial struggle that we had with regards to access and believability of that information. But this year we've implemented a number of oversight pieces of institutional research. One's called an institutional research board. It's a standard method of applying your research guidelines to both internal and external requesters of information. And then we've created a data request system where we've had, over the last 9 months, 1,200 ad hoc reports delivered to the TCCD community. And I must say that our chancellor is my biggest champion and my biggest challenge, because she requests data on a regular basis, sometimes so fast that I can only get it to her, and my peers on the CELT kind of take me to task to make sure that whatever I'm giving to her, I give to them, so we can have valid and accountable discussions. So I'm really happy about the success we've had with this group, and with how my peers have taken advantage of it. Next screen. With regards to information security, this is a fairly new concept at the district with regards to centralizing this function. Over the last year, you've accepted my number of requests for approval for a lot of hardware and a lot of software and security, and we now are interrogating and scanning all the devices that are out at the edge. Before, we did, majority of our scanning was done at our servers, and now we're able to extend that experience out to the desktops where the majority of the issues do occur. Over 15,000 devices throughout the district. With regards to process improvement and projects, over the last year and a half, we've trained every employee in lean fundamentals. It's 96%, but when it gets that close to 100, basically the people we're missing, they're leaving the district before we could get a chance to train them, where they've just been hired and we haven't got them yet. But the lean fundamentals is a practiced approach to make every staff member look at all the processes in their department or under their control and look for ways to make them more efficient. We've also, because of the success of those courses, we rolled out an introduction to project management. Again, another industry-wide standard on how you address projects. Within 20 minutes, every classroom seat was full of people that are on our faculty and staff that want to take advantage of this. So we're rolling out more courses, more sections, and right now we're currently managing over 30 district and IT projects. One of the ones that are successful that you might be aware of is the Southeast Early College High School. We're not managing the construction of that project, but we're managing the relationship between our academic services staff, our facility staff, and the Fort Worth ISD staff. And it's become a very successful project. And Dr. Jordan's attended all the meetings. Yes, on South Campus. Did I say Southeast? I'm sorry. Southeast, South. They're just a campus to me. It's just a number. Technical Services. This is the group that won national and international awards based on our results from implementing and utilizing document management products to reduce paperwork, particularly in HR and our Veterans Affairs offices. In operations, we heard that the call center is changing how they do business, and we've handled over 60,000 technical help desk calls through our vendor. That's a tenfold increase in the number of calls between this time this year and this time last year, basically because we're now helping students through their technical issues over the phone and through the web. We've created an administrative applications governance group, and this basically takes the decision-making off of my back and puts it in the hands of our the staff that use our applications, the HR staff, the student services staff. On a monthly basis, they consider all the requests that come into them and prioritize them based upon their specific need and function at the district. And then the number of buildings that we've brought online through project work with facilities, we've got a really great working relationship with them. We get things into place for the students and for the faculty and staff. We make sure that hundreds of people that get moved across the district do so without any impact on our business. And those buildings alone, combined with all their other remote locations, when you do a lot of infrastructure changes, you typically have downtime. And this is our best year for downtime this year for all critical systems. It's under 1%, even though my staff moved from multiple locations to the Alliance region, and a lot of other people were moving at the same time. So I'm really proud of the work we've done, both my staff and together, and I hope to continue to do the same type of work with the district.
Thank you, Ms. Marshall. Okay, our
question.
next report comes.
We have a question.
Mr. Marshall? Yes.
Okay, board members, remember, I can't see you, so you'll have to.
Excuse me, Chancellor, I'm sorry about that. Just going to talk about the lean program, lean fundamentals. Is that a recurring training, or is it just a one-time type training?
Right now, it's one-time type training. We'll still continue to offer the same introduction course.
Okay.
And we do have people that have asked for other coursework along that line. Typically, when you go through the first class, we will turn you over to an external training company because they're looking to do things like Green Belt or Six Sigma Black Belt training, and we're just not set up for that. It would not be a good cost recovery component. So we have had a number of staff, though, move beyond the initial fundamentals.
And how do we measure the success of the lean training that we're offering?
We have a really good director of projects and process improvement, and he releases a monthly newsletter. And in that newsletter, we describe the projects that we're involved in, the successes of those projects with regards to onboarding, human resources, new staff. We went through a process where we looked at all the pre-registration components that a student must pass through, and we identified 27 points that could be eliminated based on that activity. So it's documented, it's available through our intranet, and it's something we can talk offline about, and I can show you the results.
Great, thank you very much.
Basically, Mrs. Ayala, one of the bottom line is what our director is always looking for is change in behavior. After he's trained, he and his staff have trained our employees in various categories. He fully expects that we will do business differently and that we will have significantly fewer steps and that we'll be using many more efficiencies in our work. So that's the basic measurement, too, that he uses.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Marshall.
Okay. All right. Mark McClendon is up next on finance. Mark?
Good evening, Chancellor. Good evening, trustees. This is a great opportunity for us to showcase what I believe was a really exciting year, and I hope you all have enjoyed it as much as I have. So some of our purchasing accomplishments. Through the use of e-procurement, we reduce our cycle time for processing by 67%. There is nothing that can compare to the velocity of what technology can do. And so we certainly want to thank Mr. Marshall, who helped us in this process. And a lot of the time that what you're able to see such high numbers is because a lot of the purchases, which is normal, is low-value purchases. And so the ability to be faster and to be able to place it, it allows our staff to actually concentrate on things that take more time and better. We also developed and implemented 2 additional catalogs in e-procurement system, which incorporates more items in a contract, allowing TCC to control. What we're trying to do is move people to smaller dollar items. That's one of the things we're doing. We're trying to use more catalogs, and we're trying to get more circus there. We implemented a sourcing director in e-procurement, which allows TCC to use more competition for smaller dollar procurement, so we can have more flexibility. We can have people hone into special systems, and we also have more ability to negotiate with vendors when we have higher purchases. In addition, we completed phase 3 of the common learning material, which consisted of 387 courses, and we implemented an online system for faculty to be able to adopt the adoption of textbooks. This process was previously manually. Again, the technology has really helped us, and I hope that the faculty are enjoying this process also. Next, please. In our business service, when we looked at the common learning material initiative, it's hard to believe that this process started with Vision 2015. This was a collaborative effort that includes Dr. Black, all the presidents, the JCC presidents, and all the faculty in ACC to bring it up to 97%. All the textbooks have looked, and I hope that everybody can understand what a great vision it was for our chancellor to look at this and how we've walked through that, and it's bringing savings. Later on this year, we'll be able to tell you what the total savings were through this a major effort that has gone through, and where we have just had a very small part of it. Okay, operational success. Our business services continuously is the vision, the finance vision on the campuses. They served over 105,000 students. They've invoiced over $2.5 million to third-party sponsors. The NetNet solution activated 20,000 payments, representing $8 million in interest-free loans. And we've established a business service and student financial aid council where these two groups work very much together. And now Dr. Block has asked us to even work on weekends, and we continue to do and trying to service our students more. And it is an interesting proposition that we continue to service our students as their schedule is more flexible than in other areas. Next, please. Okay, international student education. The district attended, members, a U.S. Commercial Service Gold Key Matching Service in Hong Kong, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, China. We also have established a partnership to offer intensive English to our international students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McClendon. Our next presenter is Ms. Petty.
Madam Chancellor, I have a question. Mark,
yes,
you went completely over my head with, excuse me, operational success, served over 105,000 students. What does that mean? Yeah.
That means we actually talk to 105,000 students on our 5 campuses. We're able to engage them. We talk to them, whatever need they have. We follow the data. Actually, we are actually following the data on a program that calls Who's Next. We're taking the time, and we're trying to, this is a system that when I go back to the chancellor and she goes back to her board and we say we need more people or we need more systems, that's how we can give you the data to support that, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Greenhill,
Yes.
anything else?
Good
Okay, we'll
evening,
move now
Chancellor.
to Ms. Petty.
Good evening, Chancellor, Board of Trustees. Our highlights in real estate and facilities are through the many recommendations that you reviewed and approved over the year. I'll be highlighting the accomplishments by campus and then touching on a few of our district-wide initiatives. I'm going to start with our oldest campus, the South Campus, where we've had our two large construction projects going on. And as you see up here, some pictures of our Center of Excellence for Energy Technology. If you recall, we had a groundbreaking celebration on March 3rd. It's a one-of-a-kind building designed as a teaching tool, and it will be incorporating 3D computer technology. Believe it or not, it's going to be opening for classes at the end of this month, and you'll hear much more about all the features in the state-of-the-art building at the grand opening event that's scheduled in September. The second new building is also at the South Campus, and this is our South Campus Fort Worth Independent School District Collegiate High School, which will open again later this month with just over 1,000. We wish it was 1,000 students, 100 students. It's similar in plan to the Southeast Campus Collegiate High School that opened last year. We were on a fast and furious schedule, and you can see in the upper right-hand corner, we had some difficult winter and spring months that made the intensity of our work really a little crazy and tight, but we are going to open for classes, so we're excited about that. Both of these projects required our physical plant to be upgraded in order to maintain reliable campus infrastructure. And I'll just touch on a couple of those. You can go to the next slide. So you see that third bullet, or first bullet point, the campus main electrical. So we replaced a 50-year-old high voltage electrical distribution center at that campus. We also built a new water heating plant with the existing central utility plant. And both of these projects will increase the quality of the service to the campus while reducing our energy and operating costs. So I'm going to move to our Northeast campus. If you recall, our Northeast Campus Grapevine Colleyville Collegiate Academy opened in a phased approach. We opened in the fall of 2014 to accommodate the first 100 students. Phase 2 includes moving district personnel out of that building and building out additional classrooms in the existing building next door for swing space for that campus, which is very important. We've also completed our parking lot lighting upgrade last spring, which is going to be converting LED fixtures with brighter, more efficient lighting for security purposes, again, while reducing our energy and operating costs. Moving to our Northwest campus, we renovated, if you recall, when we moved our programs out to the aviation technology programs out to the Center of Excellence for Aviation, Transportation, and Logistics up in Alliance. We renovated the building that they came out of to bring us more classrooms, offices, and a student learning resource center for our early college high school. Also at Northwest, we replaced a chiller as part of our central utility plant upgrade. And our ongoing work on the restrooms there will continue into the fall, and those are important to have good restrooms. At Southeast, the campus, we replaced the chiller to not only accommodate the addition of the new science wing there in the central utility plant, but also to provide redundancy with the plant, so we'll have a more efficient equipment. Moving to Trinity River, we, as you recall, began our early college high school with the Texas Academy of Biomedical Sciences in the fall of 2014 with its first phase. We completed the second phase with more classrooms there this last year. And then earlier this year, we retained the West Fork building at Trinity River. Moving to Connect, that West Fork building will be the new address for TCC Connect at 444 North Henderson, so we're excited about that. Lastly, I'm going to touch on just 3 district initiatives. You might remember that we presented to you on 2 separate occasions the continuous commissioning at the Trinity River campus in collaboration with Texas A&M. And the savings has equated to approximately $552,000 over the last 12 months by completing those projects. The second bullet point, we're in our third year as recipients of the Smart Water Conservation Partner Award from the City of Fort Worth. We're very proud of that. We saved 49 million gallons of water over the last 2 years. And lastly, our conservation efforts at the Northeast Campus have saved us over 20% in electrical utilities, and this equates to approximately $192,000 over the last 2 years. And that completes my section, unless there's any questions. Turn it over to Ms. Angela.
Board members, our last presentation will be given by Mrs. Angela Robinson,
Good
Vice
evening.
Chancellor for Administration and our legal counsel. Ms. Robinson?
Good evening, Chancellor, members of the board. On the legal side of the House, legal has aligned procurement's technical processes with the long-term goals of the district with a focus on TCC's real estate. And put another way, we are focusing on the results while still respecting the procedures required of governmental entities in the purchasing process. Second, we've overseen TCC through the Radio Shack bankruptcy, resulting in timely compliance with the lease terms. And on the first of every month, that means that legal sits at Radio Shack until they give us their lease payment. Next, we've ensured compliance with all applicable contracts with Section 508 of the 1990s ADA. And that means that all vendors are now required to be compliant with making their products accessible both to the visually and hearing impaired. On the administration side of the House, we've implemented a risk management program for student clubs and organizations, and that includes student travel, student with disabilities, and education on drug and alcohol. We've concluded the initial round of full-scale active shooter campus exercises in all campus, and that's a pretty elaborate undertaking that's taken us 2 years to do it because we have to get the city police departments involved, we have to get SWAT teams involved, we have to make sure that no one's bringing guns onto campuses that day, so it's a fairly elaborate procedure for each campus. Next, we've outfitted all of our duty police officers with body cameras, and we were ahead of Fort Worth Police Department on that, I'm proud to say. Last, under the police, we've initiated town hall meetings within the police department to address concerns as well as new ideas. And today in the climate, I think that's particularly important to listen to the police officers and let them air their concerns with their chief and with me before they become more than just concerns. Next, we've designed and provided adjunct cohort training for the newly hired adjuncts and contingent pool adjuncts, and this includes diffusing the classroom, syllabus development, and classroom management, such as student engagement. We've delivered 119,000 hours of professional development activities to faculty and staff. This includes 39,106 hours of instructor-led offerings and 79,894 hours of external training activities. Last, we've improved awareness of issues related to lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, as well as disabilities as they pertain to employees and to students with increased opportunities for inclusion. That ends my presentation. Are there any questions?
Yes. Given campus carry,
Yes.
How do you envision that that's going to affect us, and are police officers going to undergo any special kind of training for this?
The main thrust will be education. As you may know, community colleges have until September of 2017 to comply. Universities have until September of 2016. Part of our approach is going to be to watch facilities such as UTA to see what they do, what works and what doesn't work. So we will have additional training from the perspective of we're already looking to see what other states have been doing that have had similar laws in place for years, And so we're having our police officers trained in those policies. So right now, we're sort of in the wait-and-see stage. Let's see what's going to happen with the universities and how it works for them.
Thank you.
Also, Angela, I wanted to bring up another professional accomplishment for you, that you're going to be the head of the Lawyer Association for Community College counselors.
Yes, I will
Well,
be
I've
the
forgotten the
president.
name of it, but
Texas Association of
congratulations.
Community College
You're the head
Attorneys.
honcho and so
Thank
forth
you.
and so on. That shows how much confidence they have in you, and so do we.
Thank you.
Lawyers always do.
Congratulations.
I'm sorry.
in
I didn't know I was on.
order.
Okay, I go off now.
We have so many outstanding things going on at Tarrant County College Board members. And I like to do this annually. Before we get into the numbers with our budget, just as a reminder to you of what you have approved over the past year or the past couple of years, and in some cases, long-term, 2 or 3 years. But this gives you a snapshot of how the dollars that you have appropriated for us have been spent in order to help us drive greater and greater student success at Tarrant County College. I had fully intended for this session to go no longer than an hour and a half, and I think we might make that. But just to make sure that you have as much time as you want to ask questions about anything that's been discussed so far, or to ask me questions as I move into the budget part. I'm going to go through very, very fast, Shelley, all of these slides from the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board Almanac. All of our board members will get all of these slides, and they can actually study those. But they are here in this area, and we will look at those. You will see they're by campus, and they're in the same order as all of our other things, or South Campus is first. And maybe one of the most significant things you might want to look at from each, and by the way, this is from the coordinating board. I don't like to dwell on this very much because it is old data, but the coordinating board gathers data that way, and it is what they report back to us. But some of the key things that you might want to look at as she moves through those slides. When you're on South Campus, and you will see that the total enrollment, 8,500.
That's not loaded on your laptop.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it'll be in the final one that you get. Sorry, ma'am.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. They're not looking at it. Why don't I just skip it altogether?
It's on the monitor. It's just not on their laptops.
Oh, I see. Okay. But anyway, I was just going to do a cursory review of this anyway. Total enrollment on South, 8,540, awarded 1,371 degrees in this period of time that is covered by the coordinating board. Notice that the change in South Campus enrollment, 22.2%, that comes because of TCC Connect, and you will see a drastic increase in Trinity River, which is an artificial increase. I'll talk about that in a minute. But the Northeast Campus was a decrease of 18%, having 8,687 students enrolled in those. I'm sorry, that's Northwest I went to. Northeast, I'm sorry, I skipped Northeast. Northeast, 12,103 students, awarding 1,872 degrees with a decrease of 18%, whereas South Campus had 8687 students, 1,285 graduating with a decrease of 19.7%. Southeast Campus with an enrollment of 11,151, awarding 1,476 degrees with only a 9.7% decrease. And then Trinity River actually showed a 391.7% increase, but that's because our staff counted all of the TCC Connect courses on one campus. They had to do that just to get some idea of how many students were indeed Connect students. They thought they were going to be able to pull out the TCC Connect students from the Trinity River campus students, but somehow the system didn't allow them to do that. We'll have those numbers separate as we go forward. So that should not happen. So those next few slides that you have there from the coordinating board will be good information for you to review when you get your notebook. And so I will just skip that for now, and we'll take any questions you have about that a little bit later. Let me go now to the preliminary maintenance and operation estimated revenue summary. And I've asked Mark and Nancy to chime in anywhere they want to. Nancy has reported to us that there is a new system for determining the tax amount that each taxing entity will get. It's new, and a lot of people are still unfamiliar with how that should be used. But what I did want to point out to you, and our state appropriations, we received $1.893 million more this year than we received before. And at this point, it looks like we're going to get $7 million more in taxes than we got last year. Our tuition is expected perhaps to decrease over $1 million, not because of a decrease in enrollment, but because of a decrease in the number of hours of courses that students are taking. When you look at the credit hour course fees, but we don't do those separately. We don't do separate non-credit courses either for the funded tuition. There's no increase or decrease there. For the indirect costs and other, Nancy is projecting a $4 million increase, the majority of that coming from the decrease that we'll be getting in rental income from Radio Shack. And then finally, the total educational and general income budget expected to increase about $3 million. Now, I have a slide that I could show you this evening where the CHEP members and I have worked alongside the campus people on each of those campuses, as well as at the district office, where everybody had input in what he or she thought was needed in order to continue to move the campus, the college forward. And that totals a little over $9 billion. There's no way we're going to be able to fund the entire $9 million. I'm not ready tonight to tell you what is going to be recommended that we use the extra money that we have. And I'll also tell you that we're likely to repurpose some of the other monies that we have in order to get to a 15-16 budget, operating budget. The next item up there will be the tax rate. Where you will see maintenance and operation, our tax rate currently is 0.14950. Debt service, as you see, last year was 0.00558, but this year we will not have any debt service. And so that tax rate then total was 14950. I told you that was an estimated $7 million increase in the tax revenue that Nancy is estimating. Now, the next slide, Shelley, will be the effective tax rate. Board members, if you choose to go to the effective tax rate, instead of the 0.14950, you would be looking at 0.15776. And instead of the $7 million increase that you would be getting in new taxes, you would get a little over $10 million. If you go to the effective tax rate, the average family residential property tax rate would increase by $13.05 for the year. Now, pause there and see if you have any questions about the effective tax rate what it would cost, how much money we would get versus the regular tax rate. That doesn't cost the taxpayer any more money, and you would get $7 million. Is there any discussion on that one? I can't see, so I can't tell if somebody's just itching to talk to me about that.
Everybody's doing the math in their head.
Everybody's doing the math, okay.
Sounds like a good number to me, Chancellor. It's Gwen Morrison.
I'm sorry?
I said it sounds like a good number to me.
Which number sounds like a good number to you?
Oh, you're
No
asking
increase
for
in the
response. Oh,
effective
sure.
tax rate. I mean, with the 10 million estimated increase revenue.
That was Dr. Morrison, I believe?
That was.
Okay, all right. Anyone else want to comment on the effective tax rate versus the regular tax rate? And what's your thoughts are?
My feeling is the same as Dr. Morrison. This is Bill Greenhill.
That was Mr. Greenhill?
Yes, ma'am. That's Mr. Greenhill.
Okay, all right, thank you. Anybody else? And I will tell you before we close out this portion of my presentation, I'm going to come back at the end and ask you to give me guidance on how you want me to proceed with the tax rate and one other item that I'll come to in just a minute. So any other discussion on the tax rate? Okay. Let me get back to I'm sorry, I moved my computer there and got away from my slides, but just take me a second to get back to that. Okay, the next item that we have here tells you about tuition. It has been mentioned by some of you that this may be the year when you would want to increase tuition. Again, you increased it 3 years ago from $52 to $55, and that is currently what our tuition is. With $55 for in-district, out-of-district is $86, out-of-state $205, and non-resident $205. And you'll recall that you set aside the money that was generated from that tuition increase to sticky spaces for our students. And we have done quite a bit of work and have spent most of the money that was generated. We do have some money left on the sticky spaces, and we have some items set aside to take care of the sticky spaces this year. Now, the next slide, Shelley, would be the one, the top 10 in-district tuition, just as a reminder, board members, of what other institutions are charging for their tuition and where we rank. And you'll see the range goes from $39 per semester hour at Collin College to $108 per semester hour at South Texas, with Tarrant County College being number 9 out of 10 of those institutions. On the out-of-district, our tuition is $86, and we're also at the bottom of that. We're number 9 out of 10 for the out-of-district tuition. And those dollars range from $78 for Collin County to $287 for Austin College. And then finally, the non-resident tuition ranges from $138 for Collin to $361 for Austin, with Tarrant being number 3 in that case at $205. So is there any discussion for me on tuition and how you want me to proceed as I build the budget on that? If there's no discussion now, I'll come back to that in just a few minutes. And I'll move to another slide that is just meant to be instructive for you. and that is the health insurance premium for all of our employees is going to increase by 7% this year. Health Select is going to go up by 7% this year. And the employee, member and spouse will pay $22.36 more. For a member and child or children, it would be $14.98. And for a member and family, it will increase by $37.34. And you also see, to the left of that, how much the employee pays. Ranges from $330.24 for a member and spouse to $221.12 for a member and child or children, and $551.36 for a member and family. In addition, the Teacher Retirement System of Texas is going to increase the amount that the employee pays into that retirement system from 6.7%, where it's been for years and years, to 7.2%. So they're going to increase it by 0.5%. That's additional money that employees will have to pay. So I talked earlier about salary increase and my wish to give our employees a salary increase this year. Kelly, if you will go to the summary of responses of the salary, tax, and tuition, the numbers you have here as of July, right at the end of July is my recollection. And you will see, board members, if you look over to the right-hand side, that's the Big Ten, and you're looking at Alamo saying it doesn't plan to do any increase. Austin Community College looking at 3%, Collin College 4%, Dallas 4.88% average for the faculty, and it averages around that amount and lower in some cases for other class codes. El Paso Community College doesn't know yet what it's going to do. Houston Community College hasn't decided. Lone Star College is looking at 2%. We're saying it may be more than that. San Jacinto doesn't know yet. And finally, South Texas is saying 3%. So those are the salary increases that our sister institutions have either already decided or they are considering those. And I also have their slide for you to let you see what's going on right around us here in Tarrant County, with Arlington ISD having, I believe, already decided on 3%, Burnsville ISD 2.5%, Dallas 3%, Fort Worth 3%, Northwest 2%, City of Fort Worth is proposing 2%, and Tarrant County proposing 3%. Mansfield ISD hasn't made a decision yet on what it wants to do about salary increases. I know we had quite a bit of discussion at our last budget workshop about salary increases, and I know that some of you have asked me to take a look at a different system for next year. Mainly, you wanted me to explore merit pay, and of course, that's on the table for exploration. But for tonight, first of all, do you have any questions about anything that I've talked about so far as we prepare to build the budget?
Yeah, this is Mr. Heed. Regarding the credit hour cost of these colleges, is this existing, or are they predicting any increases in the top 10?
Yes, sir. Some are predicting. Let me get back to that slide here in just a minute. Kelly, can you put it on the screen? For tuition, for the increase that is being considered by other community colleges in tuition. And let me know when you found it.
So that's salary.
The middle column. the middle column, yes, there it is. Alamo is saying not applicable. I think that means they haven't decided yet. Austin is looking at increasing OOD. What is that, Mark? Fee for $20. I don't know. Out of district. Out of district, they're looking at $20 per semester hour. I'm assuming because their out of district is already so very high, and then the non-resident they're looking at $17. Collins says no, or they haven't decided. Dallas says theirs is going to be the same, so they're not going to increase. El Paso is going to increase resident tuition by $5, non-resident by $7, and they're also going to increase the general use fee by $2, which, we do not have any extra fees added on to our tuition. Houston hasn't really decided yet. Lone Star say they will say the same. San Jac is still debating, and South Texas will say the same.
Mark, this is Bill Greenhill.
Yes, sir.
Tell me again, I get confused as to whether or not we have a bucket for our pay-as-you-go methodology. Again, tell me how much money is in that bucket, if any, and what fund that is.
Go
ahead, Chancellor.
That Mark about to speak. We do have a fund set aside for pay-as-you-go, which is for all practical purposes depleted at this point. But each year we've been setting aside, I believe it's $5 million.
Okay. So
I'm going to refer to Nancy or Mark to tell me how much is in it at this point.
So we do not have a bucket of money for our for replenishing. We do or do not have a plan for replenishing we've been through this before, but I forget, replenishing our pay-as-you-go methodology.
Mr. Greenhill, in the past, I believe that after third person, we got it right now. All right. In the past, previous to when I was here, there was a lot more coming into what was the pay-as-you-go fund. Today, what we have is we have set aside, according to Mr. Carter has asked us to take $5 million every year to set aside. That's one thing he's asked us to put in Fund 40. What we do have
is it 140? Okay,
Fund 40.
Fund 40. Okay.
Fund 40. What we do have, Mr. Greenhill, is when monies are not expended in Fund 10, that would roll back to our fund balance, and that's what we have. But that's not really considered a pay-as-you-go fund, because I want to remind everybody that your fund balance is something that's looked at. So when a college goes and it goes ahead and it decides that it wants to have bonds, it will ask you to have a certain amount of fund balance so many months. So you cannot just consume all that money. So there is some money in the fund balance. That's what's left over. So those are the two things. But as far as
so there is money left over that we're not required.
There is money left over in a fund balance that is an extra for whenever the board or the chancellor proposes to use that.
Okay, what is our fund balance now?
Our fund balance is probably sitting, I would say, in about 100 mils or something like that. Now, I want to remind you that before, when we had a bond covenant, we would take your total expenditures, and you would take the total expenditures divided by 12, and then you would have to have that much in fund balance. So we would have to have like $67 million based on the bonds, that covenant, the agreements to that bond said that you had to have 3 months. When we do a new if we have to have a new bond, it's going to tell us whether it's 3 months or 4 months. And so different institutions have different ways of looking at how much they want to have fund balances. Some want 3 months, some of them would like 4 months, some would like 5 months. So that money is available to be used, but it's something that would have to be, it's a thought when you consume it, sir. Did I answer your question? Yes.
Mr. Greenhill, I don't think it quite answers his question, Mark. I think he's looking specifically for the number of dollars we can say that we have set aside in that Fund 40 account that would be considered money to be used for some pay-as-you-go project. And while y'all are looking for that number, Mark or Nancy, let me remind the board that when the trustees voted those years ago to start pay-as-you-go, the tax rate was doubled. And excess money, I shouldn't say excess, but the board set aside a number of those dollars into that fund, and then every year as we got tax money in, some of it was put in that fund. I suppose it was called Fund 40 back then. It was put in that fund, and then other parts were earmarked to be spent on whatever the college decided, whatever the board members decided they want to spend it on. So the answer to your question is yes. We do have a specific fund set aside for pay-as-you-go, and I'm still waiting to see how much money is in the fund.
Okay, so I suggest that at some point we need to decide, we've talked about this before, whether or not we're going to, maybe we'll have a hybrid, whether or not we're going to continue with pay-as-you-go or have alternative means of raising money, but we've talked about that before, and anyway, I'm just, okay. There'll be a full discussion about this next time, I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
I've now piqued,
yes.
okay, Carter's interest. I knew I would.
This is Carter. I'm not inclined, by the way, to be one of those people who goes to the effective tax rate every year because it just gets out of hand in a hurry. At one point, every dollar in tuition increase was about $1 million. I understand it's about $850 now. Is that a correct number, Mr. McCollum?
920.
920. So 920. So if we increased the tuition, say $3, that would 2.8 million dollars, which I would suggest would be a better way to do it. I also suggested if we really get in a bind that we might look at using part of the effective tax rate. There's no rule that says you have to go to the whole thing. You can use part of it.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, like I say, you do that now, and then you do that next year, and you do that next year, and next thing you know,
we've declined to do it many years, and I've been here. So
I know.
why don't we do both?
The reason that you're looking at it now is because we've done exactly what we were concerned about 2 or 3 years ago, which was that we have steadily used part of that pay-you-go money for operational cost.
Yep.
And those things you can't go backwards because it's in salaries, it's in benefits, and it's in buildings. It's in computers. It's all kind of things, and they're recurring costs, generally speaking, as well.
My position is this is the best bargain this community has.
I understand you say that. You also have to be a custodian. You represent the taxpayers as well as the district. So you have $7 million more in property taxes.
I represent my people.
Yeah, I know.
I think I do. I think I represent them pretty well.
Okay, you represent. We have $7 million in new property taxes. Yet we have some diminished revenues as well. The nitty-gritty is that if you don't do anything with tuition, you're at 3.1. Is that correct? Increase in revenue?
That is correct.
Yeah. And so if you increase the tuition another $3, then you're up. You've added another 2.7 to it. So you're closing on $6 million.
That is
bucks. And I would suggest that would probably be the starting place that we should look. As opposed to just automatically endorsing an endorsement thing. I also think that's probably going to preclude a 2 or 3% increase. I don't like to do none, but we may have to look at 1.5, something like that.
Yeah, and I want to add to that. I'm against any increase in the taxes, and since we now have burned our bonds and we don't have any debt service, the taxpayers may be looking for a tax decrease. And if we could do a minor tax decrease, that would be very significant, I think. But on the other side, I think there's certainly room in there to increase the tuition, maybe to $4 tuition
So
hour.
we're going to make the
'Cause then
students
we'd be
pay
up
for
to-
this?
Well, we'd be up
We're
to.
going to make the students pay
we'd
for
be
the
up-
legislature's lack of
We would be
confidence in our system?
We would be on par with Dallas Community College, San Jacinto.
Agree with that, yeah.
And I don't think that's onerous at all.
Chancellor?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part of that sentence. I don't think that's what at all.
I heard the word onerous, so
Yeah.
that's what I heard.
Onerous.
Yeah, I don't think a tax increase a tuition increase of $4 to bring us up to San Jacinto and Dallas would be an onerous increase.
Chancellor, this is Kristen Vandergriff.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to chime in really on the back of Mr. Heed. I feel comfortable increasing tuition, and I hark back to students who talked to us many years ago about going to the no fee base. So we have, one tuition that covers everything because it's easier to plan. So based on planning, I also like a 3-year cycle. Because again, it enables a student to plan better, whether they're in senior in high school, and they can look at what that tuition is and base maybe more dual credit courses. But nonetheless, what I wanted to say is I'm comfortable going $5 because I think we're still competitive. And this institution provides one of the most stellar academic programs as well as facilities. And when you do look at the tuition comparisons, I think we're still low and we're still accessible at $60 or whatever it turns out to be. So I'm comfortable with that. In regards to the effective tax rate, I'm not a fan, and it's just not something I'm willing to do at this point unless there will be maybe one day something very significant that we can defend.
Okay, any other thoughts?
Chancellor, this is Teresa.
Yes.
I'm comfortable with raising the tuition. I don't know about the amount. I'd still like to talk about that a little bit further. And I like the idea that Mr. Carter suggested about maybe looking at maybe not necessarily the effective tax rate, but maybe just a slight increase. So
Maybe just a what?
a slight increase.
You mean accepting the normal growth increase? That's what you mean, right? The $7 million worth of growth in the.
No, I'm sorry, this is Carter again. I was suggesting that we don't necessarily have to use the entire effective tax increase, that if we really look at it and have to make a serious adjustment, that we might be able to use a part of it.
Yes, I see. I see. Okay. Well, I've heard a number of things. I've heard Mrs. Vandergrift say she's comfortable with the tuition increase. I've heard Mr. Carter say he's comfortable with a tax increase, not necessarily all the way up to the effective tax rate. Mrs. Ayala is pretty much in the same place as Mr. Carter. Mr. Greenhill and Dr. Morrison, I think I heard say they could go with the effective tax rate.
With the caveat that Bill Greenhill is flexible. Bill Greenhill is flexible, you know.
Mr. Greenhill is flexible.
Yeah.
Okay. And Mr. Heath, what did I hear you say? Or did you say? Yes.
I did. I'm against going to the effective tax rate. I think because we have obliterated our debt service, the taxpayers may be looking for a decrease as opposed to an increase in the tax rate. So I would be against going to the effective tax rate.
Okay.
Madam Chancellor, it's Gwen Morrison. I think as
Yes,
we
ma'am.
prepare and look forward to the next 20 years, 50 years, I think everybody around the table is aware that the North Texas Council of Governments already has a plan for Texas 2050. And we need to look at that and embrace the thinking of that as we look for our needs over that next period of time. We need to be at least as brave as those who preceded us and as anticipatory of our growth needs. And
Dr. Morrison.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Morrison, your voice is garbled for some reason. I'm not sure if your microphone is different from the others, but the others are clear and yours is not. Maybe you could borrow somebody else's microphone.
She's got mine. Oh, I believe it's turning on.
Well, I definitely want to be clear. I said that most people around this table in this room are probably aware that the North Texas Council of Governments has a Texas 2050 plan. There is a plan, and it delineates the demographics that the state and this area will have in 2050. And it also lays out what our needs of the area will be. I said I think we need to be at least as brave as our predecessors in anticipating the needs of the area and how we as an institution will meet those needs. I just took a long way of saying we have the two options, and I think that we need to be very forward-thinking in analyzing both of them and making the bold decisions so that we're prepared to meet the future as we found ourselves prepared over the past few years to take advantage of certain opportunities that we've had. So I want us to certainly be aware that as we spend taxpayer money, that we have no single purpose buildings, facilities, or spending, that we're spending that in concert with other entities and with the intent of building collaborative partnerships, but also spreading the responsibility, some to the students, but also to the investment holders in the community who are the taxpayers and the property owners.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Morrison.
Yeah, Chancellor, I'd like to add that we're seeing we're talking about a tax increase, and yet we're receiving $7 million more taxes this year because of increased property values. So it'd be hard for me to justify a tax increase, a tax percentage increase, based on that. I think we'd be heartily criticized if we did that. On the other hand, as I've often said, I think we need to be developing other sources of revenue within the college, such as developing our real estate and other things that will provide additional revenue sources, revenue streams to the college. I think that's a good avenue for us to inspect.
Thank you, Mr. Heed. And yes, as you know, we are pursuing other options for income. However, it's something that doesn't come overnight, unfortunately. We do have to plan for it, and it's probably not a panacea for general support of the institution. That statement is not meant to be argumentative at all. I think if you look at institutions around the country and look at the percentage of their budgets that comes from such additional sources, it will bear me out that it's something that certainly is helpful, but is not likely to take the place of what we have to do. I think, one of the things that we should discuss, I think, at length, is for the board to decide basically what kind of institution it wants Tarrant County College to be, because that is indeed what will drive your decision about what you do with money. Naturally, you should hold my feet to the fire about how the money is spent. There is no question about that. But at the end of the day, we have to all agree on what it is we want to do. It costs so much more money today to educate a student than it did years ago. And why is that so? That's so because so many more students come to us and all other community colleges without basic preparation. And if we're going to be true to what we say our mission is, then that means that we must get them ready, and that is costly, very, very costly. So that's one of the things that we need to give some thought to. As I talked with the Celt last week as we were going through all of this, and I said, there's never enough money for us to do all the things that everybody wants to do. And if the board says no to this, no to this, no to this, I will build this budget accordingly, and we will make do. Making do, however, may not be what you want us to do. You may want us to do much more than make do. And I'm not indicating by that I think money solves all the issues, because I know it doesn't. And I know that there are things still that we can do as an institution that would certainly be beneficial to us without any extra money. But I also know that the extra money is really something that makes a big difference. Now, one of the things I didn't do tonight was give you the list of requests that has been culled and culled and culled by the Celt members. Every one of them has a list of things, and I don't even call it a wish list because of where it is at this point. But the total is over $9 million of things that they tell me they need in order to keep moving this college forward in the direction that we've been going lately and getting our students to a place where they can be successful and go out, graduate, pay taxes, get off the tax rolls for charity, help, and those kinds of things. But those are, the kind of discussions. I ask you every year to tell me what you would like for me to focus on, and you have given me various ideas, and we have certainly focused on the things that you have recommended. And now we come to a place where I am ready to recommend another salary increase. And I know that it's not something that's necessarily at the top of everybody's list, but I do think at the top of every one of your lists is wanting to do what the college can do to make sure that our outstanding group of hardworking employees are indeed compensated well for what they do and that they are shown appreciation. Now, one of the other things that I look at in addition to those things is I ask you each year for salary increase. I'm looking at the ability for the college to keep pace with what's going on around us. You saw what's being recommended right around us. You saw what's being recommended by other community colleges. And so another question that you have to answer is, do you want our employees to fall behind? Because if you don't, then that means that there is a salary increase on a regular basis, perhaps on an annual basis. And as long as it is hovering around the cost of living, I don't think anybody could see it as being anything close to being exorbitant. So the third item on my list was to ask you to tell me what your general feeling is. And I'm not asking you to vote tonight because it's not on the agenda and you can't vote. on this. But your general feeling, should I go and build this budget with the thought that I would be able to give a salary increase? Should I build this budget with the thought that we are going to go to the effective tax rate or not? And should I build this building based upon the fact that you are going to consider raising tuition or not? So those are the three things that I'm really looking for your guidance on before we go back to the drawing board. And I hear quiet. I heard.
Madam Chancellor, you know, I've learned over the years on this board how to count to 4. And I think I heard my other trustees. I'm all in, first of all. I'll commit. I'm all in. I'm in for a salary increase. I am in for the effective tax rate. I'm not as excited about doing a tuition increase, although I realize that the value of Ms. Vandegrift's statement of keeping it on a 3-year cycle and everybody bears some of the burden. So I think if you're looking for 4 votes, the other areas you're going to need to be a little bit more cautious on, but I'll let them all speak for themselves. But I wanted to go ahead and, you know, give you my commitment. Now, I maybe can be persuaded or dissuaded, but I usually stand. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Heed, I heard you earlier that you do not want to go to the effective tax rate, and you indicated that perhaps taxpayers may be looking for a tax break because we have talked so much about being debt-free. And you're right, we have talked a lot, and I've been probably talking as much or more than anybody about being debt-free. But I've also been talking so much, maybe more than anybody, about the need to help our students be successful. I don't see those two as necessarily being opposites, but I surely don't see a tax decrease helping with that. But anyway, I have you down for you're not likely to want to consider that. But I did hear what you said about tuition, if you said anything. So I'm trying to get consensus, or at least not consensus, but just get your direction on how you want me to build the budget.
Yeah, no, I did say that I feel a tuition increase is something that we could go to at, you know, maybe $4 a tuition hour, credit hour, to get us up to the San Jacinto, Dallas County area. I think that would, as I said, that certainly would not be onerous, if you remember. And
Should I consider
as far as
a
the salary
increase this year?
I'm sorry?
Should I consider a salary increase this year?
I think so.
Okay. Mr. Greenhill, I think I understood what you said.
A salary increase, yeah. I'm flexible on tuition, adjustable tax rate. We are going to, since the debt went away, we do get a little boost there anyway. But as I said, I think sharing the burden is something, and I think that the legislature is challenging us. And at some point, I know it's painful, and we do live in a very red area. But at some point, the legislature is going to leave us alone, and we're going to have to consider it. So I was very interested in the statements that were made at the event on Saturday that this board had the guts several years ago to go to pay-as-you-go, and they raised the tax rate by several cents. So you've got my feelings on those things. I'm flexible on tuition tax rate, but as I say, I can count to 4 as well. But but certainly a pay raise, yeah.
Okay. All right. Ms. Vanderbilt, I heard you say you were supportive of considering a tuition increase.
Yes, most definitely. And I'm also very supportive of a salary increase, but the effective tax
I'm
rate.
sorry?
I'm very supportive of a salary increase.
Okay. Very supportive of a salary increase. And the tax rate, you said you weren't sure about the effective rate.
I'm just not comfortable at all, frankly.
Not comfortable at all with that. So
Yes.
okay. And Mr. Carter, I heard what you said about perhaps considering.
Yeah, I just did want to point out that at 2.7 million per 1% pay raise, the 3% pay raise is 8.1, which pretty much blows your out of the water. I don't object to the tuition increase. You know, I was thinking more along 3, but 4. But I'm basically prepared to leave the current tax rate alone. I agree with Mr. Heed that you're already collecting another $7 million from it. It seems just to be piling on to ask for even more.
Okay, so you're retracting what you said earlier about not.
At this point, I think it would be silly of me to say that my mind can't be changed, or that any of our minds can't be changed here. We're going to listen to the arguments, but if you want to ask me to vote for the effective tax rate today and the 3%
No,
raise, I would
don't.
say no today. Okay.
No, I don't. I don't want to ask you to do that today either. Okay. All right. And did you comment at all on salary? Should I consider a salary increase?
I think you have to, but I think, again, if you just do the quick calc on, I'm sure you're going to ask us for 3 or so, and 3% is $8.1 million, and I don't think it's there.
I'm sorry, Mr.
No, 3% wouldn't cost quite that much. I think 3%. I have a number here somewhere on my notes.
Yeah, Mr. Marshall's doing my math. He says it's only $6 million.
$6 million is the correct figure.
6 point something million, Mr. Carter.
Yes.
Yeah, $6 million. Okay. All right, Mrs. Ayala.
Yes, ma'am.
First budget workshop for you. How does it feel to get baptized with all things budget?
Oh, it's great. Thank you. Everybody's been very helpful and supportive. Well, one of the things that I think about is when I was having to pay for school versus my parents, I remember that I seemed to take a lot more interest in my mother reminds me about that all the time, that I was very, very diligent about studying because it was money that I was spending. So I am very supportive of considering raising the tuition. I am still flexible with the effective tax rate, and I do support salary increase.
Okay.
I just think that people would value, I think if you put a little bit more money into the tuition and people are paying a little bit more and it's coming out of their pocket, I think that they're going to value that a little bit more.
Yes, yes.
More skin in the game, that's right, as somebody said.
Yes. Okay, are there any other questions that you have for me? And or are there other things that you would like to tell me that I should consider as this budget is finalized?
Could I ask for one thing? Is there a way we could get an idea of what percentage of the taxes are paid by commercial entities and what percentage is paid by homeowners when we do a tax increase?
Yes, Ms. Chain can get that for us. Did you hear her request, Mrs. Chain?
Yes, ma'am.
I guess another item there is that a substantial part of the property tax increase is new development as well. So the entire $7 million increase is not coming from old taxpayers, but there's a big chunk, probably a substantial chunk that's of new property that's come on the rolls.
Right. but we'll get specific numbers for you. I believe they are available. Other questions or requests?
Yes, Chancellor, this is Teresa. I have a question on the, there's a chart, a slide that I'm looking at talking about the salary increases, and I was just wondering, of all of these colleges that are listed here, have they had consistently year over year salary increases, or has it fluctuated?
There basically have been increases year after year.
Okay.
Basically, because everybody is pretty much in the same boat in trying to keep abreast of what's going on around them. And I don't know if I said this or not, but one of the things that pushes community colleges every year too is the salaries and the increases that are given to public school teachers. And in Tarrant County, we have, I guess, three or maybe four of the largest districts in the area that pay their faculty members right up there with what Tarrant County College pays, and a few times they have paid more. Our faculty takes great offense to that. That Tarrant County College could certainly pay as well as, but should, in their minds, I think in many instances, they feel like they should pay more than what the public schools pay. So yes, ma'am, it's basically both for locally as well as in the past. Our HR office can pull that data for you. Ms. Robinson can get that from HR. Over the years, we can tell you basically what we have done and what others have done in salary increase.
Thank you.
I will tell you, however, that it has also been our goal at TCC to stay at the top of the ranking. That's been another one of our goals, and we have maintained that pretty much.
Chancellor, would you also talk about Social Security and the fact that Tarrant County College supports Social Security and pays their portion of that for their employees versus the other?
Yes, and that's one of the great benefits of working here is that Tarrant County College does participate in Social Security, which may also be one of the reasons why we attract so many outstanding people who want to come here, because, you know, it amounts to 2 retirement checks for people who stay here and retire. And we maintain that the money that we pay, which is 6.2, I think, Nancy's in the room, she can correct me if I'm wrong on that, 6.2% or 4% is what Tarrant County College pays for every employee. So whatever salary a person gets, from my perspective, you can add that 6.whatever% to that amount and count it as salary, because in Texas, there are a few community colleges that pay Social Security. They opted into the program like we did all those years ago. And, of course, now nobody can opt in. You're either in or you're not. But the majority of the institutions, community colleges in Texas, do not pay Social Security. I don't believe any of the Big Ten pays Social Security for its employees. So that's a big benefit for our people. So listen, that's all I have. Thank you so much for presiding over your very first meeting. Congratulations. You did a great job.
Thank you. The next board budget workshop will be held on Tuesday, August 11th at 5 p.m., following the IP meeting at 4 p.m. If there's
Tuesday at 5 p.m.
Yes,
okay.
ma'am. And if there's no further comments or suggestions, Mr. Greenhill, someone ought to move for
August the
adjournment.
11th is my birthday, so we're going to have to postpone this meeting. 69.
Did you move for adjournment, Mr. Greenhill?
Yes.
Mr. Greenhill.
Second,
Mr. Greenhill,
yeah,
before you move
all in
for
favor,
adjournment.
aye.
What'd you say, Irma?
Before you move for adjournment, allow me to say one more thing.
Okay.
And that is, I sent all of you a note. Haven't sent one to the employees yet. It's going out in the morning, I hope. But I want everybody to know just how outstanding I think our 50th anniversary Jubilee turned out to be last Saturday. It was absolutely outstanding. And I want to give a very special shout out to Dr. Gwendolyn Morrison, who has more ideas than I could ever keep up with in trying to make this happen.
And
Madam Chancellor?
Who represented the board extremely well, extremely well. And then, of course, to Dr. Bill Lake, who came in to help us as well, behind the scenes primarily to get things done. The big accolade also goes to Valerie J. from Trinity Valley. And I told you all that Valerie J. told me that she had been looking for something that she could do for Tarrant County College because she believes so much in what we're doing. And when she learned about all the wonderful things we were doing, she was so pleased that she felt like she wasn't giving enough back to Tarrant County College, even though she had one or two children who either have or are attending right now. But she was the brainchild behind that big event setup. And right along with her, learning as she went along, was none other than our own Dr. Kelly Mills, who was like her sidekick. So a special thank you to Dr. Mills. And when I looked at her face on Saturday and in Reginald's face and said these words, I am so happy. I thought they both were going to fall out of their chairs. They seldom hear me say that. But I was very happy with the way things turned out. And our employees were just absolutely outstanding. As I said, the employees were like the icing on the cake. So faculty and staff, thank you.
Okay,
Nobody has called me yet to offer a part of their prize to me. So I guess I'm not going to get to share anybody's prize. We're going to keep it off of themselves.
Yeah.
But that's as it should be. So thank you, Mr. Heath, for allowing me to say that before Mr. Greenhill moves for adjournment.
Okay, let me add one thing. First of all, there is no closed meeting. And second of all, Chancellor, with all you've been through, you are not only a trooper, but an inspiration to all of us. To see you dance with those young kids out there in that heat, it's amazing. You're an amazing person.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I move for adjournment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's go.
Okay, I'll see all of you next Tuesday night. Thank you.